Hey everyone. So somehow I keep managing to forget to record an intro when I'm doing this in the first month, but this is going to be the ins and outs video for the fourth quarter of 2024. So October, November, December. I had a total of, if I did my math right, 68 books come in. If I didn't do my math right, it's probably more. He's been loving that red mouse recently. I also had 50 on-haul books, which you'll see at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be all of the books that came in October. This is actually a surprisingly low number. I thought there were more that came in, but so I pre-ordered A Man and His Cat Volume 12. I pre-ordered this back in like the pre-order sale for Barnes and Noble in July, and it just arrived like a couple weeks ago. So in my last ins and outs video, I was talking about how oh my god, there's even wow, okay. I was talking about how my grandfather is moving into a new apartment, and that's since happened, but I got this book, and you can see the big fat label on it. I don't know if this came from my grandfather or from like my aunt, but the book is Does It Fart? Because I am a 12-year-old boy. I like poop jokes. When I was a kid, my dad taught me like a 4 or 5-year-old kid. There's a picture of my dad and I walking through a field where he's explaining the difference between cow poop and sheep poop. Like he's an Aggie. Like he has a PhD in animal science. That was always a topic of conversation. I have a lot of family members that were in like medical or science fields. I have a really, really high threshold for like TMI. Let me just put it that way. But I love a good poop joke, including a does it fart. So I don't know if this was actually at my grandfather's house or if one of my aunts who was the one who was in, I have one who was a nurse for, I don't know if this is from her or from actually at my grandfather's house, but there's, like you can see, they use the dust jacket to mark a page, and the page that's marked is Bearded Dragon and Cheetah. So yeah, we'll just tuck that back in its rightful place. This will go with the rest of my poop joke books because I don't have just one. Yeah, this is inherited, I guess. I also picked up from Pango Mages of the Library, Volume 1. And I saw this, I think, on Instagram. And it's a boy who has pointed ears and loves books. But because of his ears, he isn't allowed to use the village library. And so he dreams of going to like this great library, and he meets a librarian who works there, and yeah. So I'm excited to get into this. I also picked up from Pango The Half King. This is the Fairy Loot edition. This is from their Romantasy subscription that I am not subscribed to because I didn't need to spend more money with them, but I had considered pre-ordering this back in like July, but I hesitated partly because I think this is a Red Tower book, and then when I saw like the art on the end papers of this one, I was like, okay, I just sold a bunch of stuff on Pango, so I was like, let me use some of those Pango bucks towards this. So I got this one, Magus of the Library, Volume 1. And then I also got the Memoirs of Lady Hyegong, the autobiographical writings of a crown princess of 18th century Korea. If you read any of June Her's books, she has a book, like she used this as like a reference for Red Palace. She used this as like a reference for that book, for some of the events that happened in the palace. Like people were asking like how they could educate themselves more on like Korean history, and she did a whole post of like, these are some of the books that I highly recommend, and this was one of them. And I actually found it on Pango, which I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. Like, let me go ahead and get it. Some pre-orders that have come in are mainly sequels. So the first one is Drown Me with Dreams by Gabby Burton. This is the sequel to Sing Me to Sleep, and it's very pretty. Like, these are the edges. This is one of the end papers, and then this is the second end paper. There's nothing on the back of the dust jacket, but this is the naked hardcover. Let me just... I might need to just do like a nautical themed read soon. But yeah, the next one that I got is The Mirror of Beasts by Alexandra Bracken. This is the sequel to Silver in the Bone. Again, one I haven't read. I haven't read Singing to Sleep either. I think yeah. And then again, nothing on the reverse dust jacket, but this on the hard case. The final sequel that I got is Wisteria by Adeline Grace. So this is the final book in the Belladonna trilogy. Front end papers, the naked hardcover, and then the final end papers. The other special edition pre-order that I got in was Howl's Moving Castle. This is just precious. Like, they did such a good job. I was kind of on the fence because I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I'm like really glad that I decided to get it. This is the naked hardcover. It's this like corally salmon-y color. And it just has like the author signature on the back. And then just some designed end papers. I do think there are supposed to be illustrations, maybe just chapter headings. So I think there's just chapter headings in here, which are certainly not in the volume that I have. I want to show the flaps too. This is clearly Howl, and then this is Calcifer. This is the reverse dust jacket. So it's very, very cute. Very glad I picked this up. I did also manage to get a copy of Kiki's. I do think there are leftovers of this that are going to go on sale when the sequels go on sale. I think that sale is in January. Luke did make a post about it on Instagram sometime this month. So like this week, last week. The rest of the books that I have are like monthly picks from my subscription boxes. So the first one is the Illumicrate book. This is Until We Shatter, which I haven't heard of this author. I don't know if this is a debut or not, but the art is really pretty. Like, okay, so like this is the naked hardcover, right? Okay, this is the front, like, right? Okay. So like this is this vibe, okay? And then this is the back. Like, oh my God. Like such a different, just kind of like spooky, like up here with the shadows and the, I love it. And then the end papers are really gorgeous. Those, and then these are really pretty. And I think this is a heist story. It says action-packed epic heist fantasy from the author. Oh, I guess she is not a debut. From the author of Mindwalker, perfect for fans of Six of Crows, Master of One, and Bonecryer's Dawn. I'm excited. Sounds fun. I don't know that I like fully go for heists, but maybe I could, there's that Portrait of a Thief that they did like a couple years ago, and then Tempest of Tea. Maybe I could do like 3 just like heist stories. I don't know if you can see. Yeah. And then the next book that I got was the October YA Fairy Loot pick, and that is Air by Sabaa Tahir. I loved her Ember in the Ashes Quartet, and this is like a sequel series to that. So I think it doesn't follow the same characters as the Ember Quartet. Yeah. So this is stunning. Like this is the cover. And then the spine is really pretty, but then like this is the back. And then these are the edges. And then they have the original cover on the reverse, dust jacket. But then this is the hi Cecil. Hi baby. I think the end papers might be no, they're not the same front and back, but they're similar. So there's that front end papers, and then these are the back end papers. It'll be interesting to see kind of where she takes the world. Part of me is like, you should reread Ember in the Ashes just to like refresh. And then part of me is like, don't go in with that. I don't know. The box also came with overlays, which, yeah, I am very excited. I haven't opened these because I don't want to see them before I read the book. I still have the October one, the October adult fairy loot book, but that's like not coming anytime soon, I don't think. And then I have one. So the next 2 books are from Broken Binding because they came like days apart from each other. So this is actually the September book. This is the 3rd book in the Greenbone saga, and I haven't even opened it yet. So do I have a creature? All right. So this is the cover. Edges. I think the top and the bottom are the same. And then this is the quote on the back. This is the foiled hard case. This is the back with another quote. And then these are the front end papers, which, like, I love this art style. It just fits so well. And then the back end papers. I have not started this series. That is a goal that I have for November. The other 2 are over there. This is massive. This is just huge. Like, how 713 pages. Like just it's just a brick. Okay. And then it came with like another bookmark. So I have those, and then since that was the final one in September, October is the start of a new series. This one is actually going to be 4 months because the series is Memory, Sorrow, Thorn, Sorrow and Thorn, by Tad Williams. The first one is the Dragonbone Chair, which is stunning. Damien has actually read this and said he really enjoyed it. So even if I don't like it, I think we'll keep it because he likes it. That is the hard case. These are the front end papers, which again, like, God, look at that. Like, just stunning. I think Patrick Leo, or Patrick from the channel Patrick Leo, has been helping a lot with art direction. Yeah, art direction by Patrick Leo. And then Jeff Brown is the artist for cover typography. And then end paper art is by Mark Simonetti, and Christopher Cant. I love that Broken Binding lists all the artists on the back. So this is the back end paper. But yeah, they list all the artists down here. You can't focus, please focus. Yeah, down there. So this series is going to be 4 months because the final book is so long, and like even in regular publishing, the final book is so long that it was separated into 2 books, like 2 volumes of the book. And like this book is already okay. Well, there's a glossary. And oh my God, 916 pages. Okay. You guys. You guys. I don't think I've read any Tad Williams. I've like, obviously, I recognize the name. I don't think I've read any Tad Williams. If I have, it's been a really, really long time. This is going to go October through January. So the next like new series would be in February. Since this is my first year, like my goal is to read all of the books that I have received. I did skip Lies of Locke Lamora series. Once I know what the series is going to be in February, I might make a decision then. I think it's like every calendar year. I think it like your skips refresh at the beginning of like the year. So like if I needed to skip, I could. But they do ask that you only skip once because like you're going to skip the whole series. And then they did also say that because this goes into January, that they will be doing a shorter series or like a single book. I feel like they wouldn't do just a single book, but they might do like a shorter or longer series to like make up for it. We'll see. We'll see if I continue. And I do think part of it depends on how much I like Greenbone Saga and this series. I think in order to not have 4,000 pages to read in February, I do think I'm going to try and get started on this sooner rather than later. We'll see, I guess. So, the total number of books that have come in this month are 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12. Wow. 13. That feels fitting for October. 4 books are subscription box books. 4 books are like special edition pre-orders. 3 of those are sequels. All of these were purchased this year. So I paid money for 8 of those. I used credit for 3 books. And like technically one was from a subscription, but like not my subscription. So because I used credit, like that's 0 money out of my pocket. And then the only book that this is technically a pre-order. It did come in the mail, but like it would have been like an out and about kind of read. And then this one was inherited. So I didn't actually go out to the bookstore at all this month, which is what we want in order to keep some of this under control. I was really thinking a lot more pre-orders were going to be coming in this month. So thankfully that didn't happen. I have read 0 of these. So that track record is we're not doing so hot on that front. This has been stupidly chatty. So I'm going to go now. I'll see you next month. These are all the books that are coming into my house, or that have come into my house in November. I'm going to start with subscription books. So I had 2 books from October that arrived in November. The first one is Sorcery and Small Magics by Mega Ducey. This was, I think, the Fairy Loot adult pick. It's very pretty, very shiny. And then the second book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn for Unbroken Binding, which is the Stone of Farewell. This one is also massive. Have I started the first one yet? No, not at all. But it's, again, very pretty. I feel like they always do really nice artwork for their editions. And then the books from November that I got, I think have all arrived. The Fairy Loot adult pick is The Teller of Small Fortunes, and this looks adorable. And then, look at these end papers. Look at them. And then the little snuggly cat on the cover. And then the YA pick is For She Is Wrath. I think this is like a Middle Eastern inspired Count of Monte Cristo retelling. That sounds like a fantastic time. And the Illumicrate pick is The Last Hour Between Worlds. I was a little more hesitant on this one, but it sounds really good. I think I'll end up liking it. I hope I'll end up liking it. The 2 special editions that came in, like pre-orders, like sequels from books from last year, are Vilest Things by Chloe Gong. I haven't read the first one. We'll see how I like it. The next one is Ghostsmith, and I was very, very excited about this. I have not read this one yet, but I read Bonesmith last year and loved it. It was one of my favorites from the year, and I'm really hoping that I enjoy the rest of the duology. Very, very excited for this one. I went to Kinokuniya twice. I don't have them here, but I got the remaining volumes that we needed to complete our Yu Yu Hakusho series. There were 19 volumes in total. I think I picked up 6 the last time I was in, and we now have the whole series. They're elsewhere, so I didn't feel like going to pick them up. But I did get volume 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the Apothecary Diaries. I've read volumes 2 and 3, but not 4, 5, and 6. I picked up volume 6 of Demons of the Shadow Realm, volume 14 of Sakamoto Days, and then I picked up volume 2 of Barakamon. This one will help me decide if I want to continue reading this. I haven't figured out if there's a show or not. I think this will help me decide if I want to continue collecting these or try getting them from the library or something, or finding a show. And then the next book that I got isn't from Kinokuniya, isn't really like a book. Like, it's not like a novel. I don't know. It's more of an art book. It's called Houses with a Story. It's just like different, and artists has drawn like different houses, and there's a ton of different ones. There's like 30 or 35 or something, and you get a sense of kind of what they might look like on the. And there's just a ton of them. I have read through maybe 10 of them, and it's very cute, very whimsical. And the little blurb down here says, "A dragon's den, a ghostly mansion, a library of lost books, and 30 more amazing places to explore." He basically, the artist/author basically says there's background and details about the lives of the residents and hints about their past and futures, but like you make up the rest, basically. So I thought it was really cute, and I really liked the artwork too, so picked that one up. And then the last 3 that I'm adding to my TBR because Damien picked up a couple that I am not interested in. They're his books, not my books. November's our anniversary month, and so we went on a weekend trip. There was a bookstore, of course, and I picked up Floating Hotel. I'd seen this around before, and I thought it sounded cute. And it's basically floating hotel, like a hotel spaceship, and it sounds kind of cozy. In the synopsis, it says intrigues such as why are there love poems in the lobby inbox? How many Imperial spies are currently on board? What is the true purpose of the Problem Solvers Conference? And perhaps most pertinently, who is driving the ship? It sounds really fun. Have not picked it up yet, but it seems like a fun time. We also picked up 2 more additions to our Tolkien collection. And the first one is an illustrated graphic novel of The Hobbit. This is the art on the opening page. Let's see if I can get in here. Yeah, this is some of the art in there. So I'm excited to read this and then add it to our collection. And then something that is very, oh, hello. What are you doing? Something very appropriately themed for the time of year is J.R.R. Tolkien's Letters from Father Christmas. It says, every December, an envelope bearing a stamp from the North Pole would arrive for J.R.R. Tolkien's children. Inside would be a letter in strange, spidery handwriting and a beautiful color drawing. They were from Father Christmas, telling wonderful tales of life at the North Pole. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so these are the end papers. So you get a sense of what's going on. I might have to sit down and read this before we go on a trip. I think it's 25 total books, not counting the volumes of Yu Yu Hakusho that are not present. Yeah. Well, somehow it's December, and it is in fact New Year's Eve. I don't really know how we got here. If it seems extra chaotic in the background, that is because it is. There are a couple additions that we have brought into our house that required moving a lot of furniture, and on top of being gone for 10 days and then coming home and just dumping things everywhere. Unpacking caused chaos, but then having to move furniture and then move the things in and on the furniture just added to chaos. Maybe let's start with some things. The first addition is this bookcase, and there's a couple drawers down there, but the important part is the bookcase. And we picked this up yesterday, and I don't know if I don't know that you can really tell, but it's got the wavy glass. But we decided to put all of my Norse, so I have Vinland Saga down here, and all of my sagas of the Icelanders, and then some tales and mythology, and then Magnus Chase, and then these top 2 shelves are Tolkien. So these are Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and then Silmarillion and other up here. We also picked up these. Let me turn this back around. Let me go. So these are actually, they called them library steps. And yeah, so we've been using them a lot already because we're rearranging books and art and all this other stuff. And we had seen these around the same time as the bookcase, and I was like, oh, that'd be so useful because I have these, I don't know, these these round little tables, and you can sit on them, you can stand on them, but stand in the middle of them. Hi, baby. What you doing? Yeah, I've definitely stepped like put my weight like too far like out to the side on one of them and been like, "Ugh." Like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Hi. Oh my gosh. Look at this little boy. This little boy. We were gone. We went to Prague for Christmas with my family, and I picked up a few books there, which I'll show you in a second. And then we got back the day before the Barnes and Noble hardback sale ended. I picked up a few editions of things in Czech and then one book in English. So I picked up, this is Persuasion. It's called Anne Eliotova in Czech. And I really liked the cover, and it's like the same art on the end papers. It's just really, really cute. Not that I can read Czech, but Persuasion is my favorite Austen. And then I picked up, it's Rudaval, which is Redwall by Brian Jakes. This is the like the Czech cover. It was so interesting. There were so many books where I was like, they didn't change the cover at all. And like, it was the same American, like Sarah J. Maas covers, Cassandra Clare covers, Sabriel covers. And so like, I recognized a ton of them just by the cover alone. I took a picture of the Czech version of The Spell Shop, which had a different cover and it was really cute. I didn't end up picking it up because I was like, it's not like a new favorite, but I picked up a copy of Redwall. I picked up one for me and one for a friend who also loves Redwall. And it's like, it's really cute. Like there's a map in here. There's like art on the chapter headings. I follow the illustrator for this cover on Instagram. And like that's how I knew to even look for it. So I'm pretty excited about that one. And then we picked up an English copy of the Greatest Czech Fairy Tales. This has, I think, 5, and it's pretty small, but it's my receipt. It's a graphic novel. It's super cute. My sister actually found this, and we both got a copy. So yeah. I'm looking forward to reading this. I didn't get a chance to read this while we were there because we were busy. And then the last 2 books that I got are Howl's Moving Castle. And I got this purely, this has illustrations in it. I got it, and then these are the end papers. I got this purely for one single illustration. Let me see if I can find it. So if you've read the book or seen the movie, you know when Sophie like messes up his hair and he gets slimy. I got it purely for the illustration of this because it's so accurate. It's so accurate. And I saw it and just started laughing. So, and there's a bunch of different illustrations in here, which I really liked. Then they also had a ton of like indie authors. Like there was Elise Kova, there was Liz Tomford, there were, and like I don't think I've seen either of those 2 in like Barnes and Noble. The last book that we got, so Damien and I both really love Lord of the Rings, which if you can tell by the two shelves that we have in there. But we were like, okay, do we really want to bring this big box set back in editions that we can't read? And then I saw this book, which is like illustrations. Hello, Cecil. And it's illustrations by John Howe. It's really cool. Like there's like illustrations of like Hobbit homes and like the forest. Here's Minas Tirith. And it's just these beautiful illustrations. This looks like Lake Town. Yeah. So we were flipping through this and we were like, this feels like a good alternative to buying a set of 5 books or even like the trilogy or even like a single book in the main 5. And so we were just like, and then, the art itself is beautiful. So we were like, you know what? We're just going to get this one book. Like it's like a slightly larger format. Like, so it's, larger than my face, but it's skinny. It's little. It's maybe 200 pages, not even. It's 192. So it felt good to just buy like one thing Lord of the Rings related instead of a whole chunk of stuff. We also, additional Tolkien thing, also illustrated by John Howe, we picked up a 2022 calendar. This is East of the Sun, West of the Moon, illustrated by Kay Nielsen. This is Old Tales from the North. So this is East of the Sun, West of the Moon. And like, look at that. I also picked up The Fireborn Blade and The Bloodless Princes by Charlotte Bond. I've heard Elle from Elliot Brooks talk about this one a lot. And I think the sequel just came out. I also picked up Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. This is the same author as A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. I also picked up volumes 7 and 8 of Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, the comic. Then I picked up Us in Ruins by Rachel Moore. I'd seen this on Instagram. I think it might be slightly more YA, but it's something about this archaeologist or archaeological student has like this old journal and it wakes up a statue, and the statue is really the person who wrote the journal, who'd been like trapped in a statue, something along those lines. And I was like, I never thought I would see this in print, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it. I also picked up A Crane Among Wolves by June Her. I have been wanting to get this for a while. And again, I didn't think I was ever gonna see this in person. Because I think I got the Red Palace. I think I got it from Barnes & Noble, but I had to order it. And both of these were 50% off. I also picked up Road of Bones by Demi Winters. I have heard, again, a Janessa recommendation. So, yeah. I saw this one on our way out the door after we'd already paid in our second spot. And saw this and was like, I gotta go get this. Several months ago, we saw these new covers of Lord of the Rings. They only had Return of the King, but there's this huge like fold out map. Another addition to our Tolkien shelves is The Making of Middle-earth, The Worlds of Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings. There's a lot to it. It's also very shiny. The last 3 books I picked up are Under the Oak Tree, the comic. I did also see the novel of this that is in like also a very pretty edition, but I was like, I want the comic and not the novel. The other graphic novel I picked up is Lore Olympus Volume 7. And then the last book from Barnes & Noble is The Field Guide to Witches, an artist's grimoire of 20 witches and their worlds. So there's fairy tale witches, goddesses and guardians, hags, crones, and monsters. There's Baba Yaga. There's the gingerbread witch, the sea witch, the snow queen, Morgan Le Fay. Yeah, so this is the sea witch. So think Ursula from Little Mermaid. And it just like flips through. Yeah, the art got me. All right, all the pre-orders are on top, so we'll go through this pretty quickly. I got the Fairy Loot version of Best Hex Ever. And look at the back. Look at him. Oh my god. I also picked up A Song to Drown Rivers by Anna Leong. Yet another Fairy Loot is the sequel to Spice Road. This is Serpent Sea by Maya Ibrahim. I also picked up pre-ordered a copy back in like July from Barnes & Noble of the special edition hardback of Heaven Official's Blessing. This is volume 1. This is The Whispering Night from Illumicrate. This is the 3rd book in the Luminaries series. The final pre-order that I got is First Writer's Call. This is chunky. So this is from Broken Binding, actually. For Fairy Loot Adult, we got The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary Pearson. For the Fairy Loot YA, we have A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. I think this might be their debut. It doesn't say whether it's her debut or not. The final book that I got this month from a subscription box is Green Angel, Two Green Angel Tower. Can we just talk about the art? Jeff Brown, amazing. Every single piece of art that he does, I'm like, please, sir, can I have some more? There's no reverse dust jacket, but let me show you the full thing because it's stunning. And now I need to read 3 like 1,000-page books. I opted out of the Illumicrate box this month. It was something about a heist, and heist stories like aren't really my thing. It just sounded like it would take me 2 years to get to it, and trying to prevent that. Okay, I forgot to say how many books came in December, and I still haven't counted, so yeah. Anyway, so I had 28 books come in December. So I recorded a Fairy Loot video where I went through the first 6 months of my subscription, which started back in I think 2021. So I went through all of the books that I got in the subscription and their sequels. And these are the books that I am unhauling from that, or at least they are up on my Pango. I am getting rid of Defy the Night, Defend the Dawn, and Destroy the Day. I'm pretty sad about it because I loved the first one. I didn't fully love the way the trilogy ended, and I think part of that is because it was YA. It makes me really, really sad to get rid of them. And I am also unsure if I will ever pick up a Bridget Kemmerer book again, because this is the second time that that's happened to me where I have really loved the first book in a trilogy that she's written, and like by the end of the trilogy my feelings have changed on either the characters or like the events and stuff like that. Hi, Cecil. Hi, baby. I wasn't sure if I would ever um, reread them. So the next two books are books that I was for sure going to get rid of. The first one is The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. I hated it. I hated it. It was not a fun time. Fire with Fire was a decent time, but I don't think I'm the target age demographic, and like I would never reread this again. It was a decent time. It was just never something that was going to stay in my house. The next two that I am for sure getting rid of are These Hollow Vows and These Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. I thought the first one was like ACOTAR light, mostly in the way the love interests are presented. There were a couple interesting things that it did, but ultimately not something I'm going to pick up again. Another book that I am a little torn, and if it doesn't sell, I might hold on to it, is Jade Fire Gold. I had a really good time with this while I was reading it, but I don't remember a ton of it. I did also feel like this could have been a duology. Like there's the way that this ends, it seems like it should be a duology, and I don't know that we're ever going to get a sequel. This is one where I'm like tempted to hold on to it because I did enjoy it, but also at the same time I feel like it would sit on my shelf. I don't know. I could be convinced either way. But it's currently up on my Pango, but if it doesn't sell within a certain amount of time, maybe I'll just take it off and like ease it on into a shelf. Same kind of goes for these three. The first Elise Kova books that I read were her Loom Saga books. And a few years ago, Fox and Wit did a special edition of the trilogy, and they're, I don't know if disappointing is the right right word. I didn't get as many customizations as I wanted for the price I paid, if that makes sense. I thought we were going to get like alternate dust jackets and like end paper art and that sort of thing. When I purchased it, I thought we were getting reverse dust jackets for all of them, but it was just the first one. I feel like every time I stare at them, I'm like really annoyed that I spent my money on like a lackluster set of books. Part of me is like, the stuff that is there is really pretty, but it's not necessarily exactly what I wanted. So these are up on Pango, and like there's no sprayed edges or anything like that. Again, it's one where if it doesn't sell, then like I'll find a spot for it on my shelf. Part of me is like tempted to just put them on my shelf and take the dust jackets off. Back to a couple Fairy Loot things. These are the extra books that came in some of the earlier boxes. The first one is After Love. Again, not the right age demographic. Beasts of Prey. I really wanted to like Beasts of Prey, but I wasn't caring about the characters by like 80 pages in. And some of the reviews that I read were like, oh yeah, there's like really bad decision making. So I was like, you know what? I'm not here for this. The other one is The Coldest Touch. This reminded me of like a CW show, partly because it's set in a high school and there's vampires and magic. It was a fairly fun time, not the target demographic. From Spookopoly-thon. I'm getting rid of The Alchemist. I had the like novel of this. This is the graphic novel. I don't know where I put the novels. Also getting rid of The Watsons by Jane Austen and The Library of the Dead by Teal Huchu. These were all rereads, and I just decided that I didn't need to keep them. They've served their purpose, and or I'm not, in the case of this one, I'm not going to continue on with the rest of the series. So I can let them be on their way. This is additional from Spookopoly, A House with Good Bones. I think I might give this to my friend who likes T. Kingfisher. I tried to give it to my sister, but she already read it or has it or whatever, and I think I'm going to try and give it to someone else. Otherwise, it'll go to the used bookstore. Damien and I both have read Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Enjoyed it, but aren't going to reread it. I am also getting rid of my Vampirates series. I have read the first two and realized that I aged out. I did look up some spoilers for the final books in the series and was like, you know what? I think I can let these go, which is kind of unfortunate because I've held on to them for so long. It did clear up a huge chunk of space on my shelf. I asked my brother if one of my nephews would be interested, and he was like, I got a pretty lukewarm response. I am also getting rid of The Nordic Theory of Everything by Anu Partanen. Damien got me this book a while ago. I feel like I got a lot out of this. And I don't know that I'm going to reread it, so I am going to pass it on. I'm getting rid of Ruddy Gore, which is somehow I have book 7 in the Franny Fisher mystery books. I'm not interested in going back to the beginning of the book series, so it's just going to go. Trixie Belden, number 2, the Red Trailer Mystery. A friend of mine had talked about how much she liked these books over like the Nancy Drew books. And so I picked this up when I went to like a vintage bookstore and was like, okay, like I'll try it. And I tried it and I think I'm going to pass it on to her. And, you know, she can give it to her kids and see if they like it. The Rose Code is the next one. This was my probably one and only attempt at finding a blind date with a book. I like historical fiction sometimes. I used to read way more of it, but have like kind of moved away from it. I decided to look up some spoilers and I was like, you know what? We're gonna pass this along. Same deal with these next 4. I picked them up for the try a chapter and am ready to pass them on. Captain Elatriste. This was one where I was like, I would have a good time, but I wouldn't remember it a ton. It wouldn't necessarily be a new favorite, I don't think. This is Antidote to Venom. I was not vibing. It's like a reverse, like it follows like the perpetrator of a crime and not, or I guess it's a murder, and not the person solving the crime. The next one is White Blade, and it was just the writing in this one. Otherwise, I think I would have had a better time and probably would have kept it. Zen in the Martial Arts. This is like a bunch of little stories on lessons that someone who has been practicing martial arts for a very long time has learned. And I think I got everything I needed to get out of it. I might pass this on to a friend. The next one I read is Highland Treasure by Lindsay Sands. This was like fine, but the female protagonist is like too stupid to live. She made terrible decisions, and like the whole time the male love interest was like, but it turned out fine. The next book that I got 5 pages into and was like, I'm out, is The Jaguar Mask by Daniel Easterman. There were so many so many things wrong just in those like 2 pages, that I was like, I'm not gonna survive the rest of this book. The final 3 books that are a little bit heartbreaking as well. The Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. These are the Broken Binding books. I got a little over 100 pages into Jade City. I loved the world building. I loved the atmosphere. I loved like the magic system, but the story where it's like mafia family saga type deal, it's just not my thing. I also hate Romeo and Juliet. So like rival families is just not my thing. It's not my thing. I again went to look up spoilers and was like, I'm good. So it makes me really sad because I really wanted to love it. These are beautiful additions. I'd heard some things about the third one where it was a little like telling, not showing. And I actually felt that a little bit in the first one. I think I read something where it was like if you thought the first one was slow, the second one is even worse. And I was like, I do think this is really slow. Oh, and then I do have some books that already sold on Pango. I got rid of my copies of my Fairy Loot editions of Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Anyway, let me count these really quick. 47, 49, 50. We'll just say 50. Of these, I have 14 that I can take off of my TBR count. Yeah, if anyone is interested, I will put my Pango in the description bar down below. Feel free to let me know if I'm making a mistake in getting rid of any of these, or if you also had thoughts about them, or think I'm absolutely nuts for getting rid of some of the books that I'm getting rid of. I hope you all have a great New Year's Eve, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.